And so I think that's a very good component of it as well. But I think an important thing to touch on as the libertarian perspective goes is the role of nonprofits, because oftentimes I tend to think that if government could do it, a nonprofit could do it better, or so I like to think, and sometimes it doesn't always help. But you talked about the Red Cross. Well, there's multiple other organizations besides Red Cross, such as the Salvation Army, that has a huge role in disasters, as well as faith-based organizations that have a very big component to it. There are disability organizations like the kidney foundations and different things like that that have actual role in state government emergency management responsibilities. And when the State Emergency Operations Center in Tallahassee is activated, there are several organizations, volunteer organizations, that are represented there that is paid for through private funding, through donations and fundraising, that are supplying things such as food and ice. Oftentimes in a very hardly impacted area, you will see a Salvation Army truck that's out there serving meals. And I think that's a very important part to touch on, is that government's not going to help you, but it's very possible that your neighbor may.
Yeah, I know. I remember after Katrina, all kinds of organizations were taking up collections for specific items to be sent to the victims of Katrina. I went there, and really the public response was very huge here in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody stepped up to the plate. I went, had my trunk load of stuff, and there's just a big line of people ready to give.
Right, and that's very important, but we want to make sure that we give the right things, because I've heard horror stories of people dropping off used furniture, and that's not going to help anything. And that, you know, taking your, you know, can of corned beef hash that has been in your pantry for 6 years isn't going to help anybody. Taking in your dented cans and your food that you somehow acquired that's just disgusting isn't going to help anything. And I think monetary donations in some respect is probably the best thing to do, as long as you do the research on the organizations that you are going to donate to. And as much grief as the Red Cross gets, I think that they're definitely worthwhile to donate to, as well as the Salvation Army. And the more I know about the Salvation Army and what they do in disaster response, the more kudos I actually give to them. And there's other smaller organizations as well. In particular, I volunteer one with called the Eagle's Wings that does a lot of special needs response, as well as assisting local governments in doing damage assessments to be able to find out whether or not FEMA is even going to come in the area. Because FEMA has to, through the federal regulations, there are certain monetary thresholds of damage that have to be met before FEMA actually enters the area. So I think that volunteer organizations are doing a fabulous job, and that we definitely need to support them more in their role in disaster response.
Absolutely. Well, I want to take a few minutes to talk about some local issues, unless you have more to talk about with emergency management. Remember, everybody, we are in hurricane season. We haven't been hit yet, so go ahead, Google. There's all kinds of sites out there about how to make your plan up, although most of you probably already know how to do it. That's
right. I would say definitely check out floridadisaster.org, which is brought to you by the Florida Division of Emergency Management.
Great, great. We've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to focus on some immediate things here in Jacksonville. Here in Jacksonville, well, wait a second. Before I do that, I want to let everyone know how to contact us here at the Libertarian Perspective. We actually have a very active local group of people here. In fact, tomorrow, which is the third Thursday of the month, we're having a meeting at the Golden Corral on Southside across from Tinseltown, and that's at 6:30. You can also contact us on our website, which is www.jaxlp.org, or call us at 731-5656. Also, if you're from one of the surrounding counties, you're not here in Duval County, somehow you're seeing this, go to www.lpf.org, that's the state organization, because we're definitely interested in getting you organized in your area. So please come on out to the Golden Corral if you can. It's the third Thursday of every month at 6:30 p.m. They got very good rolls. You meet a lot of great people. It's a lot of fun. But of immediate concern, and actually this is our government waste of the month, is the, I call it the emergency no-bid tax hike. Our government here in Jacksonville is known for emergency no-bid spending. This is emergency no-bid tax hike. And basically our mayor, who had a campaign promise, it's up there on the board, hopefully you can see it, but basically what he has to say, he promises he's not going to raise taxes. He says, I will not raise taxes, period. That's why I signed a solemn pledge. You either are committed to a principle or you are not. With that, Mayor Payton, I do agree with you. However, on our next slide, you'll see taxpayers will see, Payton says taxpayers will see need for tax hike. Well, I'm a taxpayer and I don't see the need for the tax hike. For one, we haven't been provided enough time to review the new budget. The budget was released, this is a Wednesday, basically 2 days ago, and within less than 2 weeks, the city council is going to vote on whether to have the tax hike. That's not enough time for a regular citizen to review the budget. I went there yesterday. This is the proposed budget. It's over 350 pages long. I don't work for the city. I don't have time to review that type of meat. And I know there's things that can be cut. We just recently had stucco on entranceways, Yacht Club Road, which was no bid. We have a $168,000 batting cage. That's got to be a nice batting cage. I've had people in construction tell me they could do it for $16,000 and they'd be happy. However, the mayor, he's talking about cutting the Salzbacher Center and kicking homeless people out on the road. He's talking about cutting fire stations, cutting libraries. I feel that basically the mayor he's using threats. He's basically threatening us. I saw a news story the other day. It looked like I was watching The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. They went into detail about people being kicked out and living in, doorways. And the sad fact is a lot of that funding is actually federal. Not a lot of it is local. However, the mayor controls who gets paid, so that's why it's a threat. Wow, do you have any perspective on this? We only have a couple minutes, but...
Sure, I definitely think that there are other programs that could be cut. I hate to say this because it's for the children, but one of the programs the city of Jacksonville does do is they give out vouchers for children to go to summer camps. And while well-intended and a great idea, and I think it's great for kids to go to summer camps, I went to several a year, but is that the role of government? And that's the question. Is it the role of government? And the answer would be no. So maybe that's something to look at. 4th of July, the fireworks display and bringing the artist in, funded mostly by the city of Jacksonville.
That cost $50,000, and unfortunately we've just run out of time, so that's something for people to think about. The role of government, hopefully our government looks at it. Well, we're at an end. Thank you for joining us for Libertarian Perspective. Join us next time. Thank you.